wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Lauren LaRosa filling in for Jess. And we got a special guest in the building.
Yes, indeed.
We got Jaleel White. Welcome.
What's up, Cat?
How you feeling, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm having a good morning.
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, brother. You got your new book, Growing Up Urkel, a memoir. Yeah. Why you do the 80s, 90s R&B cover on the front, bro? This ain't even 80s. It's like 70s, 60s, 70s
no,
R&B.
Don't take me back that
Early
far.
80s.
Early
Early
80s. That's
80s. Early 80s.
That's the Mike Jack pose.
Why this post?
You know, I did it because for anybody who's a fan of the Stefan character, they know that he was debuted in a white suit.
I said that. When I first saw it, I said, this is Stefan.
He was debuted in a white suit, and then I love having fun on Instagram anyway. And Instagram has that meme that has all four of the greats. There was like Luther Vandross, Lionel Richie, Teddy Pendergrass,
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, they all. Michael Jackson hit it last, but of course he hit it the biggest. So for a black man in the 80s or born around that period, when you put that picture on the front, it just means, hey, the contents are fire. Gotcha. But nobody even notices on the back. I
see you jumping around.
Yeah, and on the back, I give you the high water pants and the Urkel shoes, and nobody even notices
Nobody
it.
noticed
Nobody even notices it.
You don't got the glasses on. That's why.
That's probably why.
So you don't mind being called Stefan?
It's not even about mine.
Okay.
It is Stefan saved my life. Like, just black women everywhere just choose to call me Stefan.
When you walked in, when he walked in, I was like, oh my God, I lit up when you walked in. Does that happen to you all the time? And you were like, yeah. Because when you walked in, I instantly remember you walking on the screen and being like, oh, shoot. Like, I heard the music and everything.
That is watch you heard the music and everything.
I'm trying to tell you.
No, I love it. With black women in particular, the 24 episodes out of 215 that I did, they only keyed in on Stefan, and they were just relieved that I wasn't really like that.
I've always loved your story, though, because, you are the epitome of, taking advantage of a moment, seizing opportunity, right? Because you were only supposed to be on one episode.
Yeah, that's it.
Of Family Matters. How'd that happen?
Again, Charlamagne, I was just a black kid that wanted a Sega Genesis, dog. It really wasn't that deep. My dad told me that I could get one of anything whenever I got a job because I was resisting going on auditions at this point. I was 5'4" me, was ready to play basketball. We're gonna get into basketball talks at some point. I really wasn't booking jobs at age 12 too much because a lot of the stereotypical roles, I just wasn't fitting it, my profile. I had, like I said, I had braces, I'm 5'4", and I saw this audition come through, and I was like, I can get this job.
What was it? What did it say?
The description I included in the book was just, nerdy character. Matter of fact, I was described as a Rick Moranis type. So that just shows you what the writer's room was already doing. They're casting a black kid and asking for a Rick Moranis type. So I actually read that literally, and then I went and got the best of Saturday Night Live VHS tape that we had in our house, and I found Ed Grimley. And I basically was doing a black kid's version of Ed Grimley. Yeah. And it wasn't really a good impersonation, quite frankly, but because nobody thought that was my inspiration, it became mine.
It's amazing you can't trademark I don't want to say a character, because I'm sure you can trademark a character, but the mannerisms of a character.
Oh, wow. That's
the voice. Did I do that? Do you know what I mean?
We only think about this stuff in America, man.
Did you get the Sega Genesis? I was just always curious.
Of course
you got the Sega Genesis. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Of course I got that Sega Genesis.
Did you want to act?
Acting was just something that I just did naturally. I've been doing it since I was 3. So, did you want to do anything that your parents got you started in when you were 3? It just came naturally. I didn't resist it, and I enjoyed it. Of course, you always enjoyed getting a day off of school to go someplace and yeah, exactly, and have some fun. But as I got to be around the age of 12, I didn't really want to act anymore. I wanted to play basketball. But once I got the show, then I started getting reps in at a different pace.
Right.
And now once you get reps in, you prove yourself good at something, proficient. Like I remember the exact episode where I'm like, oh, this is fun, and this audience is my toy. And then the episode's called The Big Fix, where I took Laura on a date for the first time because Eddie needed to pay off a bet. And I leveled this French restaurant.
Now, before we get to...
I remember that episode
Yeah,
too.
that's the first episode where I'm like, I can hear the audience different. I can see it in my eyes when I watch that episode.
Before we get into that part of it, is it true that you tried out for Rudy Huxtable, that part?
Yeah, I did. That's the name Rudy was for a boy.
Oh, wow.
It was for a boy. So there was a debate there, and, he obviously won out over the network at the end, and Keisha got the role.
And
how close did you get?
Oh, it came down to me and her. That's it. They auditioned us all day. I actually never forget that audition because they brought in, they always bring in like 2 or 3 options for each role. But they put us in one room for like several hours and kept pairing us and going in and out. And I talk about that in the book as well. And then at the end, they said, hey, listen, we are pressed for time. So we will take you, and the rest of you. Thank you for coming out. So you had all these crying kids just pouring out of that building that had been there all day. And I remember my mom was like, she just had a huge reaction to that. She was like, if you ever react like that to losing an audition again.
Oh, you cried. You was bawling.
Oh, we were bawling. I mean, that's a cold way to lose a job when you're 7 years old.
Did you really understand,
It's to be picked right in front, right in front. Because generally it happened, your agent will call you or your agent didn't call you.
Right.
And my mom was never the type to call the agent also and be like, did we or did we not get the job? And a lot of parents do that.
But did you really understand at 7 years old, like, oh my God, I'm losing this job. This is like what this could be. Like,
we were
supposed. You were just like a kid, and it was like, no. So you cried. But like, what did you think?
No, well, we were supposed to move to New York.
Oh.
So they had already talked to my parents through our agent and everything. And my dad was trying to figure out, because he was just graduating from dental school at the time. My dad was trying to figure out how to do this from New York.
Right.
They had practically said the job is yours, and then a little girl came walking in.
Damn.
Oh,
I mean, they do that kind of stuff all the time now that I'm an adult and I know that, but at the time it was just very shocking.
So you felt
and then you become a big fan of the show, right? So you're looking at the show and it's like, oh man, that could have been me, right? You're doing that, but that passes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you end up with your own iconic role in the future, right?
I didn't even look at it that way. Seriously, during that time, Charlamagne, I'm telling you, man, it's wild to watch fame now because everybody kind of believes like they can have a famous moment and it should come easy to them. But back then, like, if you got a chance to meet Magic Johnson, or you got a chance to meet Janet Jackson in person, they were inaccessible.
Right.
They were all talented.
Yeah.
They were, there was an aura, literally. I remember the time I met Michael Jordan for the first time, and he crept up behind me at the Magic Johnson Midsummer Night's Classic, and it's just like, he literally had like this little glow around him, this Black Jesus glow around him, and it's different now. It really is. So you didn't think you could be that. You see what I'm saying?
Now, yeah, I don't think there is real celebrity now.
Oh, now no, celebrity has completely been diluted.
Yeah,
it really is. I'll disagree and say there's still some people who have it. I can say I can see it. There's certain people where they walk in and they have that natural it factor where it's like, okay, you affect the room. You know what I'm saying? Like even when Will Smith used to come in for the NBA All-Star games, like. When Will was in the room, it was just different.
That's his aura, though.
Yeah, that's just, exactly. So, but that's traditional celebrity. This stuff now, like I said, it can feel real temporary, and it's like you ain't got the it factor, but you got the light on you.
Right? Did the cast like you? Because you went from just supposed to be one episode to taking over the whole thing. So did they like you? There had to be some resentment a little bit. It was like a nerdy kid coming in there.
Like
taking
I said,
the show
it was weird at first. The kids and I, we worked it out the easiest because they had to hear a lot of things that some of their parents are even saying. And, when you're a kid and you're hearing what your parents are saying, you're just going to follow suit with that. But Darius and Kelly and I, we became like brothers and sisters. That's our puberty. So I just feel like the division really kind of took place more along the lines of the adults were the adults and the kids were the kids.
Do you think that it was weird during that time, like that you knew, like you were very well aware as a kid that like you were becoming the star of the show, but you had to do so much stuff to kind of like not act like you knew that? Like even in the book you talk about like how the introductions were on the show, and your agent would always be like, we need to rearrange these introductions because you're the star. The world knows you're the star, and you'd be like, no, let's not bruise
egos.
My
mom didn't want to do that. My mom wanted to keep a lot of things status quo when it came to the call sheet and just pecking order. It would have just disrupted the balance of the set to another degree.
Why?
That we didn't need. It's almost kind of like, all right, you ever notice like Shaq runs out last? You know what I'm saying? When Shaq and Kobe were in their prime. But then towards the end, Kobe starts running out last. And that's around the time when they broke up too. It's just like there's little ego things that just can happen on a set that you have to ask yourself, is that the sword I want to die on? Is it worth it?
You would think that at some point in life, people would understand that y'all are a team. And it doesn't matter who the star of the team is if the team
wins
is winning.
Yeah, but the magic words you say is you would think.
Yeah. But after all of these years, we haven't learned that. Even when you use the Shaq and Kobe example, like
that's you can't change the way people are going to think when they're coming from a place of ego. For me, I did a lot to extend our run because the reality was
the show was about to get canceled.
I know, but
that's a fact.
I get it. I get it. But I'm like, I don't. You can say that. I don't need to lean in on that. But whether if it was keeping my hair cut the same way. I mean, it got to the point where I was sick of my own haircut, or staying out of the gym, not working out. That sucked from playing basketball. And finally, in my senior year,
they made you change the pants that you were wearing.
Yeah, they made me change in the final season. It was like no more jeans. He doesn't wear any jeans. So I was doing things that was.
I thought that was.
Well, I was going to get into it.
No.
Go ahead, Charlamagne.
You
I read that.
No, he about to get messy. What you?
I reckon it was your bulge.
He's not about to get messy.
I don't care. Like,
go ahead.
Lauren, don't let this
man
man just
already.
talk over you. Don't let this man
I mean, he wants to talk about your bulge. I want him.
Well, you said pants. It wasn't because of his pants.
I was getting there. I was going to let him finish his statement. You jumped to the bulge.
Jaleel's like, how did I get
Go
here?
ahead. You jumped on down his pants. Go ahead,
I want to let
finish.
him work it out.
But it was because of the package. Right, Jaleel?
That's crazy.
Y'all don't get to sit here. He a wild boy.
Crazy.
He a wild boy. He gives it off.
He was waiting for that one.
He gives it off.
So back to the bulge. Go ahead.
They changed bottom line. They just said no jeans in the final season.
Yeah.
That was it.
Oh, they didn't tell you why.
They said no jeans in the final season.
They said the bulge, right? They did tell you
It was because of the
that.
bulge.
They did tell you that. They said it was getting a little awkward to see the bulge. That's what the quote said.
Jesus.
They said no jeans in the final season.
Do they come to your parents and say that, or do they come directly to you?
No, at that point, I mean, come on. I'm on set and I'm getting notes from producers and
That was
I
in
need
the
to
note.
see that note.
What?
That's a funny ass note to tell somebody.
That is an uncomfortable no.
Jaleel's like, where did I
That's
walk
hilarious.
I feel like you said that in private. Like you pull my family to the side and we have a very closed discussion.
Can we
that's
talk about your son's bulge? What?
Wild, B.
So things changed on the set because you didn't have a dressing room. Now I'm sure you got the biggest dressing room and all that. So how was that change?
I mean,
Then money. I'm sure money changed.
Well, the thing about money, which was cool, is that my mom was so petrified the show would get canceled anyway that she never bought a new car for the first 4 seasons of the show.
Oh wow.
My mom was that. I think that's why I'm so passionate about the protective job that my parents did. They did so much to try to keep me attached to normal life.
Right.
They didn't get new cars themselves. My mom demanded that I went to public school. I went to public school during the entire time
As
of
Steve
that
Urkel
show.
at that time?
Yeah, but we didn't.
Wow.
But we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have we had cell phones, but they were big bricks at that time. But we didn't have smartphones to invade the privacy to that degree and let everybody know what school he goes to, at least on a nationwide level. So, I would pop into school like every 2 weeks to 3 weeks. And, that was something I actually enjoyed doing, kind of like a magic trick. Because I could go in and I could take tests. I could raise my hand. I could answer questions from the teacher. And my peers are looking at me like, how do you know this stuff? It's like, I study on set too.
How was school? Did you ever get bullied because people looked at you?
Oh, yeah. No, there's a whole...
You talk about that in the book.
There's a whole thing. It was like, the first school I was attending at the time, I was the only black kid at the entire school, which was awkward too. It was half Asian, it was half white, and now it's since taken over all Asian when I go back and pass that school. That's all, the usual stuff. Can I touch your hair? And, not getting invited to bar mitzvahs and all that kind of stuff. And then that all changed as soon as I got on the show. Hey, you want to go to a Laker game with me? And, my mom wants your agent number. She's thinking about putting me in the business, and now I'm suddenly so popular. So I left that school, and then I went to what I like to call the Joe Clark school, the Lean on Me Light. And in that case, I stood out a little too much. And it also raised my hand too much. And I had a teacher that liked me, and I liked Miss Lassiter too. And, at schools like that, they don't like those kind of relationships. So ran into problems there. And then my mom found the school that was the porch that was just warm enough for me, in Three Bears story analogy. And that was South Pasadena High School, and they kind of had to sprinkle everybody. It was Asian, it was Mexican, it was black, it was wonderful. And I had a great principal named Ben Ramirez, may he rest in peace, who just, kind of went out of his way to make sure that I was always welcome on campus.
They didn't like the fact that your teacher was trying to make sure you were okay?
What do you mean?
Like you said that the school, you had a teacher that would
No. I'm saying at hood schools, you can't, raising your hand a lot in class and having a great relationship with the teacher.
Oh, the kids didn't like that. Oh, yeah, okay. I was going to say, why would the school
you
not
really
like
a
that?
nerd, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Bingo.
But you asking a question like the last 2 minutes of class, though?
You come see again. She hit me with some
From Delaware.
You was a 2 minute,
No.
2 minutes left.
You're not gonna play me like that. I wasn't asking the teacher to collect the homework, okay? I wasn't that dude.
Reminding them we had tests?
I wasn't reminding them we had tests. But the bottom line is we had a good relationship, and she was teaching stuff I'd already learned at the other school. So they were hella behind the other school. So I was just like, yo, this is easy.
Oh, so you was in there showing off, slam dunking. Like,
Come on, I'm in the 8th grade. You know what I'm saying?
Horrible grade to do that.
It's awkward. Exactly.
But did you wish you got that treatment? I remember. Do you remember the first time we met? No, you don't remember.
I don't remember. That's what you have to remind me.
Knicks camp.
Yeah, Knicks camp. Now, Knicks camp, I remember so much about
Madison Square Garden, Knicks camp. You was in Knicks camp, and I was surprised because
yeah.
I don't remember. We were young.
Yeah, we were
but I was surprised because I'm like, at the time, he's Steve Urkel. He's on the biggest show. I'm like, his parents put him here.
So why would he remember you?
I'm gonna tell you. Well, I don't know. I mean,
Hey, I told you. Stay locked and loaded.
But you know why?
Anybody can get it.
Because not for nothing, I was him. I had the glasses, the braces. We was on the same team.
So you
No.
identified
You
as
weren't
nerd.
him. This is Jaleel White.
I know, but I had
you were actually a nerd. He was not.
I love seeing this dynamic because no one should ever take this personal if they come up in
He
here.
shouldn't say
Envy
that.
just
He said
said-
I was you. No, he
I had the
Envy
glasses, the
said
braces. I was
he
5
felt
foot
seen.
Let me help you
Yes.
out. Let me help you out. Any black man who didn't even look like me, if he wore glasses, he was called Steve Urkel.
That's true.
Oh, Envy, you got
They call me Metal Mouth and a whole bunch of things, but I'm not going to that trauma. But the reason I say that is during basketball camp, you got into a fight.
Who did I scrap with? I don't know.
Some Spanish dude, right? And I remember, I was like, damn, is this happen all the time when you come to the hood because people think that you're better than them? So I was wondering if that always happened.
Well, when you hooping, like people try you. You know what I'm saying? So it was like I took basketball seriously. So in between those lines, that's why I'm like I don't even remember. I was there to play ball.
How many fights did you get into if you don't remember?
On a basketball court, I didn't have a history of getting into a bunch of fights. But I'm just saying, like on a basketball court, people gonna try you. I mean, do you remember every fracas you got into on a basketball court?
I kind of do, yeah.
Oh wow!
I kind of.
He lost though. What you mean?
I lost a lot of them, boy. I kind of.
If I don't remember him, that means I probably did pretty good in whatever we was doing.
So what did you and all the other Spanish kids do when y'all saw Jaleel beating up
I'm
with the
black,
Spanish?
so I'm not Spanish.
Like nobody's.
I'm black, so I'm
Can
not
we get a
Spanish.
therapist in here?
Envy had to pick a side.
Can we get a
If
mediator?
he started seeing, he said either I'm going with Urkel, I'm going with my people. So which way was you? Where was you?
I was riding with Urkel.
Okay.
Nerds stick together.
All right.
You know another thing you talk.
But you didn't tell me how I played though.
Nah, you was good. You were surprisingly good because everybody
That
thought
part.
Surprisingly.
because everybody thought the nerd was gonna come out, but you was good. We could tell that you played ball, but I remember you scrapping.
Yeah,
What point guard? What position you play?
I'm point guard.
Okay, so because even in your book you talk about having your dressing room kind of like set up like an
Yeah,
NBA
my
locker
dressing
room.
My dressing room was cool. My dressing room.
You really wanted to go to the NBA? Like that was like
I don't
really.
think it was about going to the NBA. I was a huge. I mean, listen, if you grew up in the '90s, the NBA just was different.
Man.
It landed on your life.
Man.
It was everything.
Got you.
So I once I started gaining some influence, you could do certain things. And the set decorator for our show transformed the second room in my dressing room into an actual NBA locker room. So I had all the different lockers.
That's dope.
And that's where I would change to get ready for the show.
Wow.
Did you get paid? Did you make money back then?
Yeah, no, you made very good money back then.
Okay.
But the numbers back then they don't compare to numbers now.
Yeah,
Inflation. It's one of my favorite things I actually have is my first time I ever sat on the court. I kept the ticket stub. And I kept him with Magic shoes when he gave them to me after the game. And every now and then I'll still look at those ticket stubs. Guess how much in 1991 the face value of a Laker game on the court was versus San Antonio Spurs?
$350.
Price maybe close to 1,000, maybe 700, 800.
This man knows basketball. $425.
425.
Remember back
That's
then?
crazy, right?
For a floor seat?
Yeah, for a floor.
Wow.
So when you put that in perspective, 1991, $425 face value on the ticket to sit on the court, and you see what inflation is now. It really is like I remember that teaching me about inflation. Was like, whoa, something's happening here because there's two inflations. There's the one they talk about to the country, and then the one they talk about that's going on for the people that's making all the money.
I love how you describe throughout the book. You describe yourself as a dedicated people pleaser. You said it was your mom who made you that way.
Yeah.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
It can be good and bad to be a people pleaser because you got to learn how to set boundaries. but then you got to also learn how to say yes enough to catch blessings that are coming out of nowhere. But for me, it's always been about the audience experience that jacked me up. You know, we taped in front of a live studio audience every Friday. And man, I look forward to that audience like you wouldn't believe. And they just become your toy after a while. So, you know, my mom would call me after a table reading, every Tuesday. And it's like, what do you think of the script this week? And I was like, it's okay, you know. And then there would be certain weeks like the Bruce Lee week where I'm like, oh, no, get your tickets now. Because sometimes she would have to play games to get a certain number of seats, in this, especially with another executive producer's wife who would hog a lot of seats. I'm like, no, go ahead and get your tickets for this one. I'm gonna melt this one down. So it was just always about just, you know, everything celebrity came from a different place. Then it was about being excellent. It was about being on point. You know, we would shoot our show and we'd be done with a whole episode in like just over 2 hours. And I was so proud of that because everybody else on the lot, especially if they had kids on their show, it would take, you know, shows would take 3 and 4 hours and people wouldn't even be able to see the end of the show at times. But we were now 2 hours flat and we were done. So I just took pride of that kind of stuff.
What about Jaleel when he's not, you know, performing? Are you still dealing with being a people pleaser?
Nah, not as much. You know, when you have a daughter, at least when you have a kid, and you enter the family dynamic, a lot of your values just change. They shift overnight. At least they did for me.
What was the biggest thing that shifted for you overnight?
Oh, man. I got a funny story on that one, though, actually. I remember when single parents don't date. Like, single parents prospect. They don't date. It's different. And I remember my boy was, he told me to come out and meet him at the club. You know, he had a group. At this point, I'm a single dad. And I hop into my car, and at the time I drove an Aston Martin Rapide, which is a 4-door. And so I pulled up at the end, he comes walking over with 3 girls. And it's like, what we doing? This is before Uber, all right? It's before Uber. What we doing? Where we headed? And then one of the girls just reached for the back door, and the baby seat was in the back. Okay. And the way them girls just jumped back. Really? And all this, it just threw off the whole chemistry for the rest of the night. And it was just like, okay, what matters more? As a dad, I knew I'm not taking that baby seat out. It's a pain in the butt putting them damn baby seats in. And any dad who has a baby seat knows that. That's so I was like, well, that's just the way it's going to be. But that was a moment where I had to accept, where I was just kind of like, she really comes first in every aspect of my life now. And like it or not, even in times when I want to be grown and sexy, it's going to affect it. So,
you know what I wondered too? Did the cast members on Family Matters, was it a level of hate and jealousy and envious?
Envious.
Envious.
Envious. Yeah, it was
envy.
You know what I mean?
This is your chance to get him. You jump on him now.
In hindsight, were you really difficult to work with?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Because
Reginald Bell Johnson said that.
Okay, so let me make it easy for you then. How come you never heard that from the kids? Kelly speaks. Darius is everywhere. Darius is everywhere. How come you never heard that from the kids?
Yeah.
It's when you leave a show, first of all, the difference between movie stardom and TV stardom is when you're a movie star, you're still a star, even if you don't have a movie out. When you're a TV star, unless you're on TV, you're not a star anymore. And that's just the way the business treats you. So I think people go through a lot of personal trauma sometimes after a show has gone off the air. Divorces, investments maybe didn't go right, et cetera, and it causes people to look back on things with, kind of a jaded look. And it was like, man, we had fun. We did. Even the pictures I picked out for the book, I wanted to show pictures of us chilling. I wanted to show me, Reggie, and Darius, chilling in Paris when we shot 2 episodes in Paris. We're the only black show to ever shoot in Europe. That was a big deal. We had this, I'll never forget, we had this giant $12,000 meal at the top of the Eiffel Tower as a cast.
Okay.
Oh, I'm glad you asked. My mom took that bill and handed it to production because she had the clout to do that. But Joe Marie's there, Reggie's there. Well, we was balling at the top. But again, you balling. So, it's almost kind of like when you hear Scottie Pippen talking about the Bulls now. It's like, Scottie, you can't say nothing nice about the Bulls? Nigga, you was rock stars, dog. You and Mike didn't kick it at all? Right. Are you sure that's how you remember it?
Have you recently talked to any of the cast? Because I know Joe Marie Payton, she had come out and said that you guys had a little whatever that situation was.
They don't want to fight each other.
Yeah, can you, first of all, clarify that story because that's just a wild...
No, there's nothing to clarify. Like I'm talking about a coworker of over 30 years ago, and I was a minor. You don't think if there was any validity to that, wouldn't have come out?
I'm like,
sooner?
how? So no, 100%, nothing happened.
I mean,
where did it even come from?
1,000%. No, like, but I'm not getting it back and forth. I'm sorry, I'm just doing too good.
I get what you're
getting
saying.
it back and forth, with a woman who's over 70, and I've been kind of like mentally ingrained to not fight with my elders. Like, all right, if that's the way you saw it, cool. It is what it is.
Well, she recently said though on the stage, I think I forget where they were at, but the cast was there and you weren't there, and she said that like she wished that you were there, and if you were there, she would hug you, and she kind of that whole thing. So have y'all talked, or is
why does what she have to say hold so much more validity than what my other cast members have to say? I'm just curious.
I think that the age thing does play a factor.
70-year-old black woman.
What you said, you know what I mean? I think
what it
that
is.
definitely plays a factor as well. But I think she's one of the first people that alleged like the bad stuff that I saw come out and be like, man, we should just hug it out. It made me wonder, like, have y'all talked? Like, what changed?
So the people that I talk to regularly is Kelly and Darius. And again, I don't call them Laura and Eddie. So I called Kelly about this book, and we spoke extensively, and, Kelly called me 2 weeks ago. But it's weird for us, by the way, also when we go out and eat or anything like that, we like little back rooms and stuff like that.
Freak out.
Exactly. If people saw me and Kelly just at Crustaceans in Beverly Hills, just what, it tends to turn into a big, hey, can I get a selfie fest?
Right.
So,
like, damn, Urkel won. You really got him.
You got him. So, we keep it private, but I have a very good relationship with all the cast members who've ever wanted a relationship with me beyond the show. And I don't have anything negative to say about Reggie. When people ask me, who was your favorite scene partner? I'm like, the chemistry I had with Reginald Vell-Johnson, I remember the episode where it clicked for us. It's called Boxcar Blues, where we were stuck in a train together with all these cows, and Steve was just getting on his nerves. And, Reggie just couldn't look at me without breaking up, without breaking character. And we developed this amazing chemistry. But adults are adults, and they're going through adult things too. And also, I'm a kid, so you know what? I'll tell you one way maybe I could have been annoying. I dribble my basketball everywhere. Everywhere. If I was in school, it's Jaleel, we need you on set. Boom, boom, boom. Basketball, basketball, basketball. Well, adults get annoyed when a kid is just dribbling and bouncing the ball all over the place. Is that difficult?
How old are you?
You talking about 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would feel like adults would have a little bit more grace.
I'm approaching it from a very self-aware,
kids,
standpoint.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, and I remember Joyce Webb, one of our script supervisors, be like, oh, here he comes with the basketball. And it's like, okay, I'm like, but if that translates 25 years later to being difficult, I'll take it.
I want to talk about your first kiss. Let's talk about your first kiss, because nowadays everybody would be getting arrested nowadays if that was so.
No, it wouldn't, because he's a guy.
Oh,
they don't do that to guys.
Exactly.
So break down your first kiss.
Exactly.
13 years old on set.
He's ahead of me on this one. No, we had a scene, man, where Steve and Eddie get hot at the dice table, and they're rolling the dice, and this woman, is supposed to give me a kiss, just plant one on me before my last dice roll. And during rehearsals all week, she had just pretty much given me a peck.
It was just a peck.
Yeah, because you just go through the motions. But with that hot live studio audience there, man, she gave me the whole shebang. And so when I pull back,
and this was your first time kissing.
I had never kissed a girl before.
I was about to say, how did you know what to do?
No, I didn't. I wasn't. First of all, I wasn't even planning for that. I know you're supposed to put your lips together, but I didn't know that anything else was really supposed to happen to that degree. I wasn't seasoned.
Got you.
I was, so she does it, and my thinking at the time was, do not break character. Do not ruin a good take. That's what you just kind of taught as a comedic actor and as a kid. And so when I went to my dressing room, I just kind of involuntarily, tears started coming down my face, because I was just like, that was weird. And then my dad corners me, and he's like, what's wrong? Executive producer comes back, like, what's wrong? And I was just like, she put her tongue in my mouth. Like, I'm
surprised your mother didn't whoop her ass.
It's so funny. Everybody says that, but it was like my father was present and was dealing with the issue, so there was no reason to inject. And once it was revealed what happened, they all started laughing.
Let's start the Men Too movement.
My dad's
What is
like,
her name?
My dad's like, no, do not find this woman. Do not troll this woman at all. No, I'm serious, because it's like, that's one of the things that I'm very protective of is, we have to embrace what double standards were, leave them in the past, but it's okay. Like, I can laugh at it. I'm saying, like, from the time that it happened to my dad and the executive producer coming in to me walking back out on stage to do now the next scenes. Even the crew, high five. She put it on you, young fella. You hung in there. You did your thing. And it was very clear to me, all the signals that I was getting was, that might have been yucky the way it went down, but apparently I'm going to get a lot more of that. So my machismo says, yeah, okay, all right, go with the flow.
Well, what about the trauma you went through? Because it was immediately after that scene, they told you that you can't wear pants anymore.
Oh, you know what? See? I see how you're doing it. I see how you'll be here all week. Tip your waitresses on the way out, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what else? I want to know, was Black Hollywood more of a community back then? Because you tell a story in the book about, connecting with Malcolm Jamal Warner and him putting you in the abstinence commercial and, your mom being a fan of Malcolm. Yeah. So I don't know if he was...
The extent to which Black Hollywood was putting each other on, I won't say was more of a community. There are specific people who put a lot of people on. Mm-hmm. Like Ice Cube put a lot of people on.
Absolutely.
Like that dude just like... John Singleton put a lot of people on. Mm-hmm. Like... He identified talent. That's really the dream I kind of have for myself because I picked that up back then of being able to recognize other talent and be like, oh, you got it. Mm-hmm. You got it. And that's a pay it forward joy that's separate and apart from actually being the focus. But back then, because there was just a lack of, cell phone communication and social media wasn't what it was, the connections were made more organically. Mm-hmm. You wrote a number down, you gave it to somebody, and so I will say that I will say it was just, I don't know, it was different. Help me out on this because I feel like we connected on this one.
Was it a real community or what?
It definitely was, okay, but I'm saying to the extent that I could count on somebody having the power to give me a job, no.
Got you.
No, not that at all. But to the extent of walking in the room and seeing Tashina Arnold and Tisha Campbell, and they're like, Jaleel! Yeah, it was like, okay, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And there was also a sense of like being a part of an exclusive club. You know what I'm saying? It was like you didn't walk into a room and see another black TV star and just sit at your table and just be like, oh, he's over there. You typically were going to get up and you were going to, you were going to greet each other, address each other, and probably exchange information.
Was that because there wasn't a lot of people? Like, it was just like you guys were the cream of the crop? It wasn't a lot?
It wasn't even like there was, what we're missing now is everything is niche programming. Mm-hmm. So very few people are always talking about the same thing at the same time anymore. Mm-hmm. Like today, all anybody's talking about from a cultural standpoint is Mike Tyson's ass cheeks, because we all saw that at the same time. Mm-hmm. So, exactly. So it was like even the Stefan moment where it was just like, a lot of black families saw that at the same time when it aired. So they calling each other on each other for, girl, you got to see him in his white suit. So it's a different connection back there, man. And I'm like, yeah, it's special.
Do you get tired of the Steve Urkel character? Because I'm sure people have to come up to you all the time and be like, say the line.
Well, in the book, you say nothing makes you happier than when somebody recognizes you as Jaleel.
Well, that makes me happy, when that happens. And I kind of got saved by millennials. Mm-hmm. The Google has helped me. It really has. I can hear tone, and I try to talk about that in the book. So, if a Southern grandmother comes up to me and she's, referencing the character, that doesn't bother me as much as compared to some guys in a bar who, they having a sausage fest in the corner and we doing well over here and they want to bring light to that. And so, okay, I see what you're doing now. Those are two completely different things in terms of being tired of the character.
You said we're doing well over here. Basically, we got all the ladies over here. Okay, every single lady in the club is with us. All right.
You know what I'm saying? So that part is obvious what the dichotomy is there. Right. But people come up to me for a variety of different reasons, man. Like your man outside, he was just like, yo, I know about the Urkel stuff, but I'm here for Sonic. I did the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog for 100 episodes, and that lands hugely with a lot of people. I did 2 episodes of Psych that people just love those 2 episodes of Psych. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's a conveyor belt of people acknowledging me for different things. And as you get older, like I said, with my focus being on my daughter, I'm a game show host now. I'm just like, look, as long as you pleasant and you chill and you respectful of my family and my environment, I just love being known for a good reason. Because in this day and age, you could be known for a real sucker reason.
That's right.
Any day, like it's wild the sucker reasons you could be known for.
It's interesting what you said even about being black people all can coming down on one moment. Because I think about that even with you as a star, right? Like you have to be a certain caliber of star for us to know your real name.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like for you to play Urkel so well that we know who Jaleel White is, that says a lot.
I appreciate it. You know what's crazy though? For a long time, maybe because I was so young, I didn't know that Jaleel White was your real name. I thought that was another person outside of Stefan. I did, but like I was so young. I don't know. I was confused. I thought it was Urkel. And then I knew Stefan. Then when I started hearing Jaleel White, I'm like, oh, maybe this is another persona that he's taking on. And then I got old enough to really understand like characters and like it not being really you and like all that. And I was like, oh, okay. That's good. That was just like a me moment, yeah. But
well, I'm just glad the light went on.
Thank you. But speaking of, right?
You got the internet fixed.
My AOL dial-up. That was back in them days, okay?
That was Netflix this weekend. That was Netflix this weekend.
Speaking of, though, I know in the book you talk about the meeting that you had with the exec about the remake or the spinoff.
The reboot.
The reboot. Mm-hmm. Your version that you wanted to happen, in my opinion, was way better. I don't know if you want to say it, you want people to read the book, but was way better than what they had pitched to you.
Thank you.
I guess we have to talk about it because I want to know, like, will we ever get that? And could you do that on your own?
Listen, first of all, you can't do it on your own. You know, that's the thing about television that people have to respect. It's, it's the only art form I feel that still has gatekeeping still very much in place. And you can either be bitter about it or you can fight the good fight and look for the person that's going to be your champion. Mm-hmm. That's just, it is what it is. I was never offered a reboot. I always want to make that very clear. And even my vision for the show that I have, it's not about me. It's about three-dimensional characters that would actually resonate and translate in 2024 because I worked for the producers who coined the phrase, jump the shark. Fonzie jumped the shark. He jumped over a shark, right? Yeah. Those are my producers, the exact same producers. So you're not going to invite me to jump the shark again. I was offered a blind contract and half my pay of what I got for the last episode. And there was no consideration. There was no consideration given to the adults that actually, have such a large opinion over what terms they would return to. I'm like, the way they were being discussed was, well, Harriet and Carl will come by and they'll visit the new family every now and then. Hollywood doesn't really, they engage talent when they need talent. Mm-hmm. They pay talent when they need talent. And this isn't even a black thing. I don't want this to turn into a black thing. I'll hear guys like Chris Pine or whatever who's, he's like, I don't know what they're going to do next with Star Trek. Like, I love playing the character, but when they call me, they call me. Mm-hmm. So I'd love the opportunity to make the show that I envisioned, that was never turned down. It was never pitched. I was just offered a blind contract. And around that, they were going to develop the reboot.
There were two versions, though. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Because you said one of them you wanted to do, like, what's the Netflix show with the kid? The little kid that we follow, he's super smart. Yes, Young Sheldon.
Oh, yeah.
There was one version that was kind of going to be like the Young Sheldon from like a different perspective. And then there was another version where it would be you, and now you're an adult, and you are in a relationship, but then Myra is still around at that point or something. Wasn't there two versions?
No, I'll simplify it. I really feel like it could be like a young Rock, to be quite honest. The only difference is, imagine if the young Rock had started off famous and then gets into reality. Mm-hmm. You still want to keep it light. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I just if you do a half-hour comedy, where the story's going to come from? Mm-hmm. They literally just used to make it up back in the day. And they would take stories too from old sitcoms, from Happy Days, whatever, and they dust them off and they just, update them a little bit. You can't do that in 2024. You're going to watch for one episode and you're going to turn that off. I asked a reporter recently, I said, well, in the traditional reboot that everybody thinks that they want, where Steve and Laura get married and have a kid that's just like Urkel, would you watch that? And he said, yeah, for about 4 minutes. I said, okay, thank you for being honest with me. If I do anything, I am an advocate of kids. Mm-hmm. I see exactly how young performers get derailed. I want to push the agenda. I want to push the legend for a kid to come play a future version of me. Whatever that turns out to be, that kid's got to be able to get invited to the Golden Globes. That kid's got to be able to get invited to the Emmys. And he can't look back at me and I'm a stain on his career. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I will point this out, but I won't say names because I don't want to even make them feel bad. But like the kids on Fuller House, they don't work. Fuller House, the reboot, they don't work. The adults that put them in that role, they knew they wouldn't work in prestige television, in prestige film, because now casting directors will say, oh, those are the kids from Fuller House. We want somebody, a fresh face, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And I promise you, as parents and as kids, they didn't go into that project thinking that was going to be a blight on their career as soon as the show was over. They didn't go into that. I want to make sure anybody that I work with, no, they go in with open eyes. This is what we stand to achieve. And it was so awesome watching Will Smith give it up to Quincy Jones after all these years when Quincy passed, because Quincy touched his life in a positive way with the Fresh Prince. He never had to look back on the Fresh Prince like it was this show he needed to get away from.
Right.
So I don't know. That's my take on what how I feel about reboots and opportunities.
But let me ask you, Urkel, I was going to ask, was that a stain on your career where you had to lose Urkel because people always looked at you when you did roles?
Again, I don't look at it as I've never stopped working. It's a tough business just to work in. You know, is it easier for some with better reps and different imaging? Yeah. When I think of Harry Potter or Al Bundy, I think about those guys and those characters. Mm-hmm. But they had better reps and different images, and it hasn't slowed them down at all. Mm-hmm. As far as the TGIF people are concerned, I like where I've landed. You know, I've never stopped working. Have I always gotten the dream job that I wanted? No. But I talk about it in the book, a couple jobs, one in particular that I wanted that went on to become the worst film that year. It's like, whoa, be careful what you want. So I don't know. It like I said, when my daughter got here, man, a lot of stuff just crystallized for me. Right. That it was like, yo, let's go out here, let's be a working dad. And it's a beautiful thing to come home with a check to take care of your kid, and you're doing it in a way where you don't have to give up your damn dignity.
That's right.
It's that simple.
You mentioned Will Smith. Will Smith, you said, was the first influential black person to hire you to do something outside of Family Matters.
Yeah.
What break that down? How did y'all have a relationship?
What did you see? I had seen Will, you know, I would always cross paths with him with NBA stuff. And, you know, Will would invite me to the office, everything when he had his offices on 3rd Street. I saw Will coming a mile away, just like I could identify, you know, just like I talked about Ice Cube, identifying talent and stuff like that. And Will actually just shared a story, as a matter of fact, that I'm like, oh, I never would have shared that, not to violate your privacy. But I remember Mack having me over to his dressing room when he was shooting 94. And I was just a curious dude. I love reading scripts. I love just devouring film. And I was in his dressing room and he had a script on the table. And I asked to go, I was checking it out. And he said, oh, that's just another sci-fi movie. And I'm not going to do another sci-fi movie after this one. And I went to visit him again after that. And like a couple weeks later, and when I got to the set, he wasn't there. And Charlie was like, I'm sorry, yeah, Will was supposed to be here, but, you know, Steven Spielberg sent a helicopter for him. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's a good reason for him to not be here to receive me. And then months and months later, after that, Will was coming out with Men in Black. And then it clicked. That was the script.
That you read.
For Men in Black. But he said he wasn't doing another sci-fi movie, so I guess that helicopter ride must have changed some opinions. So I just had this really cool relationship with Will. He was always open doors back then to me. And when he called me on the set, he called me to be on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It just meant a lot to me because he made it his personal business to put me on the show.
That's dope.
I got 2 more questions. One, when did Family Matters jump the shark?
Oh, man. We probably jumped the shark somewhere around the 6th or 7th season.
You don't remember what episode it was?
No, I don't remember the episode. It happens gradually. You know, you just start going in the porta potty and coming out as too many characters. You know, before you know it, I was Elvis. I was, you know, we sending whole families to Paris and come back by standing on a teleportation device.
I think when you moved in with them.
I never moved in with them.
You never moved in with them?
I never moved in with them Winslows.
Oh, I thought you moved. I thought your parents.
You ain't got to lie to kick it. I never moved in with them.
I thought your parents went away and.
No, I never moved in with them though.
Oh,
I never did. It was about, like I said, it was probably around about the 6th season. Just to be honest.
Where was you living when your parents?
I was always a next door neighbor. I was always. They never. That was the thing again back then. They never showed Steve's parents. They always kept Steve's parents this big mystery.
But they referenced it though. They said your parents moved to Russia or something like that.
Yeah, they would always reference my parents. My parents were treated the same way. Do you ever follow Cheers?
Yeah.
Remember Norm's wife, Vera? They never showed Vera. So they would always talk about his wife at home, and that was the way you treated it back then. They never showed the gooch on Different Strokes. They always talked about the gooch.
Right.
So they treated Family Matters, the character, my parents, the exact same way. You couldn't do that in this day and age.
Mm-hmm.
This day and age wouldn't take that kind of just constant referencing mystique. They'd be like, no, bring in the parents and make sense of this.
They're going to be all on your Instagram in this day and age.
I really thought you moved in with the Winslow.
No.
That's crazy.
No.
Now, you never, I was watching an interview you did, and you said you never got invited to none of the Hollywood parties.
No. I mean, I went to a lot of nice parties, but none of the, like, the stuff that started gaining a lot of steam on social media, like, the Rock Nation brunch or obviously, I know you're talking about my man, the Diddy parties or whatever. Like, nothing. Organically, nah.
Did you laugh?
Somebody said Reginald Bell Johnson used to get invited.
Stop it. You got to calm down. You got to.
The Carl Winslow and Diddy rumors.
You got to calm down. You just.
You ever seen him around?
We're gonna slow it down for a second. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you can just be driving too fast and you're not paying attention to the
That's true.
Talking too
to
fast,
the speed limits. To the speed, exactly. We're in a 35 zone right now.
What happened to Judy, man? How Judy just walked upstairs?
I mean, I talked about it in the book.
I know, but
I know.
You don't want to give nothing to the listeners right now?
I mean, listen, how do you think I covered it in the book? Was I fair?
Yeah.
Even if
yeah.
Was I fair?
Yeah. Because what you, I mean, but you don't.
But you laughing about?
No,
I'm pulling it out of you now. No, I'm pulling it out of you.
I guess because she didn't really have a role, so it's like I get, you know what I mean? I get what you're trying to say.
I didn't get to that part in the book, but I'm inferring, I'm reading between the lines. Was it that they didn't think she was good to stay on the show?
She didn't have a role, really. Like that part of the family didn't matter. Damn!
Jesus.
Oh my God. So in the book, how do you
pick it up?
Look, I'm only a couple chapters in, but not to give it all away, but just some of it. How do you cover it? When you ask, were you fair? Did someone tell you weren't fair in covering it?
He wasn't wrong.
Thank you. I said, hey.
Fair kind of threw me off. He wasn't wrong.
Okay. All right. There were a multitude of factors that went into her departure from the show that I blame all on her mother. But as a performer, they weren't giving her storylines, and she wasn't the best at delivering a joke. Gotcha. And so, sometimes they would give her material and it would just fall flat. And if you fall flat in run-throughs, they're going to rewrite you. And, we're kids back then. So, kids, that's the thing. You can't roast each other nowadays, at least not in public. But trust me, kids are still roasting each other. That's never going to go away.
Right.
So, we'd be sitting in the background and be like, and she blows the layup. It was like, and it's just like, you can only mess up so much and be arrogant about it in the fur coat and a Mercedes too before somebody says enough of this. And don't forget, my producers, this is a story that precedes my show. They famously fired a woman named Valerie Harper, who had a show called Valerie. Mm-hmm. And the show became the Hogan Family. And Tom Miller, may he rest in peace, walked onto the set and said, "You are done." And in one foul swoop, changed the name of the show from Valerie to the Hogan Family and put the focus on Jason Bateman. And people forget those kinds of history. So
why they didn't just Aunt Viv Judy then? Why they didn't just bring in somebody else?
Because they didn't feel like they needed the character. Like we didn't have social media. Gotcha. So they were like, she's already only in one scene. We've written her down as much as we possibly can. There reaches a point where the corporation does the corporation thing. It was like, well, how much are we paying her?
Right.
Okay, we'll just save the money. And you don't have to answer to social media either. And the thing that I do like, where I like to address it with sensitivity, is, and I talk about that. I say, look, the first miracle we have in our lives is who you're born to. Some people are born on third base. And in this situation, I really felt like, Jamie was born to a mother who put herself before her daughter, and she had ideas of grandeur that weren't necessarily very realistic. And it sucks for Jamie that she has to wear that scarlet letter for the rest of her life. Wow. And I hope that Jamie finds peace outside of show business, to be quite honest. This show business can start to make you think that this is the only way to make money. This is the only way to live. Like if it didn't, I talk about that with Jonathan Brandis because he passed away and he took his life. And I was very close to him at that particular time. And I saw signs of someone that was really putting too much emphasis on what this business meant to his existence on earth.
I got one last question. I know you got to go. You were heavy into...
Do I have to go? I mean, I'm being kicked out.
They said 10 o'clock. Yeah, they said 10 o'clock. Now, did you jump into cannabis early?
Oh, man. Listen, cannabis is just something I'm really passionate about because it landed on me. That's my Plymouth Rock. It just landed on me. I've been trying to get at the cannabis game for probably like about 8 or 9 years now, to be quite honest. And it's been very challenging to meet the right people that are placed where they need to be placed, that care about quality, that care about diversity, because they're going to change these laws and play with these laws in such a way that the big guys are going to come in and they're going to scoop it all up, and just the way they just played us with Bitcoin, it's going to go down all the same way. So I'm lucky to have met some really cool cats. We're not nationwide, but my guy, the Wolf Group, we're gonna have some fun.
But you got a dispensary or a strain? Or?
No, they named the streets. Then back in 2003, named a strain after my old character. I don't even know if it was after my old character, or maybe somebody was just inspired. Maybe watching an episode of Family Matters, so they called the strain Purple Urkle. I've been name checked everywhere. Rap songs, TV shows. I've been named that Purple Urkle's been name checked everywhere, and people think that I made money off of it. So my brand name is It's Purple. I always like to let people know, and that actually came from a joke where it was like when people see me, they think they're being discreet sometimes, where they go, "Oh, it's Urkel," and I always just wanted to have something to say back, like, "No, it's Purple."
Oh,
so that's what.
That's fly. I see what you did there.
Yeah, so that's what It's Purple, the brand, even stands for. But we are the House of Purple Urkle. We make the best damn Purple Urkle that anybody makes out there.
Did you bring some with you?
God, what I tell you? What am I putting?
Bring the drugs next time. Bring the drugs.
What I tell you? I left it in the damn hotel, but I'm telling you, I will find you, dog.
Okay,
I'm here for the week.
My mom is a sativa person. I don't have time for one more.
Yeah, jump in.
Myra, Michelle Thomas.
Yes.
Every time
Be careful now. That's my girl.
I know. I was going to say, every time you talk about her, it's very emotional for you. And I feel that that's your girl, right? Yeah. Or was. I want to know, off camera, when you guys developed your relationship that we then saw on camera, because it was so believable. What was that off-camera relationship like, and like building that for the characters on camera? Like, how did you guys, because you were so young.
Yeah, Michelle started off playing Malcolm Jamal Warner's girlfriend on the Cosby Show. And so she was always older than me. So even though she was so small and bubbly and, big, but I looked at her like a little sister. I'm like a big sister.
Yeah.
And we just had this amazing chemistry. My mama loved her too, so that made things easy. And she just made it her business to always want to hook me up with somebody. And she introduced me to Martha's Vineyard and spending summers there. And we just had an amazing chemistry. She was just down. Like, everybody knew Michelle. Everybody knew Michelle in the music business. Just everywhere we went, people loved Michelle.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she passed away to stomach cancer. And that was just a very emotional time because we just knew what she was going through as an actress.
Yeah.
And that's why I always like to remind people too, they always try to apply this typecasting narrative to me. I said, man, listen, this is a tough business. If you really want me to make you a list of people who are, trying to get to their next opportunity, I can. And you'll see it doesn't have as much to do with typecasting as you think. So during the time when she went out, I wish that there had been some better opportunities for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, Carl Weathers just passed away, and Mandalorian was a nice thing for him, man, to have on the way out. So
we want people to buy the book Growing Up Urkel, but it is interesting to see how much of the love y'all created off camera.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was real love, man. Like, I get it. Yes, it was bumpy in the beginning, especially with the adults and the parents of some of the kids, but that's my puberty. Darius is out here wilding at times. He and I, we slide each other's DMs. But that's my brother. I mean, we've all had, brothers or whatever, frat brothers or college friends that, bugging out or whatnot. But you don't abandon that cat. You still take it his call, and y'all just laugh it off. And that's what my relationship is with Kelly and Darius. It's very brotherly and sisterly. And, I'll always defend our entire cast, actually, for the work that we did.
That's what it is. Well, Jaleel White, ladies and gentlemen, Growing Up
pleasure, my
Urkel
brother.
is out right
Thank you.
now. Make sure you
Thank you.
pick it up, and thank you for joining us.
Thank
It's
you.
been a long time. You're supposed to come here like years ago.
But
I know I would run into y'all at airports and stuff.
I saw you
man.
on the plane.
Yeah.
I always give credit to a brother though who'll see me at, who's famous, and he'll see me at the airport and be like, okay, how you gonna act? And he was cool.
Charlamagne is the famous person in this situation between you and him?
Well, I've had other people. I'd be Howard Stern. I remember when Howard Stern was sitting in coach behind me, flying to New York. I was flying to New York to do his show. And then I got up and I actually took him some dessert and on the flight. And he's like, oh, I can't believe you came back here. And then when I did the show, he was like, okay, I knew you were a cool dude because you came back to say what's up to me and Coach.
What the hell?
And I was like, yeah, man, I'm flying.
Why was Howard and Coach?
He might have just needed to get to New York.
Exactly, and that'll happen to famous folks too. Where it's like, sometimes you get stuck.
I figure Howard makes so much money.
You gotta get home.
No, this is before. This is like before. This is before private parts.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta get home.
Yeah.
Oh, this is before private
Yeah.
parts. Oh, okay.
So he had loot, but he didn't have the bag. You know?
Right now,
He's like, you better get your ass back to work.
That's right. He helicopter, I think, from building to building now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's Jaleel White.
Growing
it's the
up
Breakfast
Urkel
Club.
out now.
Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.